The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the webinar this evening on using Rotary Club Central effectively in preparation for your presidential year. First, I'm going to ask a question of our other organizers that are on. I just want to confirm that my screen is visible. Marnie, George, Anthony, can you tell me that my screen is showing?
I'm not seeing it.
Well,
No,
then it's a good thing I asked. There we go.
I see it.
Seeing it now.
Perfect. So again, welcome everybody. We're going to talk about Rotary Club Central this evening, and this webinar is being recorded. It will be shared. The results of the recording will be shared with your trainers, your district trainers, as well as your district governor-elects, in order that they can share it in the best way so that you all get to see it again, as well as the president-elects that were unable to make this session this evening. So, my name is Art McQueen. I'm the Rotary Coordinator for Zone 34. I am actually located in Northeast Florida. And of course, webinars are a participation sport. We want you to be involved and we want you to enjoy this. We do it relaxed. We might goof. That's okay. We're just Rotarians doing this, and we have some fun doing this. And we just want to share some knowledge with you, and we have some special guests that will help us do that this evening. But first, we want to show you how to participate in this webinar. You do have a question box on that pane that is possibly open. You may have reduced it, but you have a window pane, a menu pane that has a question box in it. And we're going to turn this over to the guy who's fielding your questions this evening, who's George Robertson Burnett. George is a past district governor as well. Don't hold it against him. He does not speak Georgia or Southern. You will see in just a moment. And it is George that will be replacing me as the Rotary Coordinator at the end of this Rotary year. So we wanted George to field your questions this evening. George, if you got a test question, we can bounce off our attendees this evening.
I certainly can, and welcome everybody. Nice to be with you. I'm talking to you from Lakeland, Florida. Which is right in the center of Florida, and where we say a day out of Lakeland is a day wasted. Beautiful place. Please come and visit us one day. In the meantime, I'd like to see if we can get this question box all working up. If you could actually enter in the question the Rotary Club that you represent, and then I'll be able to see them, I hope, and that will prove that this system all works. If you could enter those now, that would be great. Okay, starting to see North Atlanta. Thank you, Julie. Valdosta, Jeremy, thanks. Jessup, Margaret, and Roswell. Thank you, Rebecca. Oh, they're coming in thick and fast. We've got downtown Macon and Rotary of, what have we got here? Griffin, Lagrange, or Lagrange. That's a Scottish accent for you. Dunwoody, thank you so much. So we can see that this is working. If you have a question at any time during this broadcast, and you don't need to wait till the end, please just type it in here, and I assure you I will get the question to the person that you want to ask. So if you keep that in mind and just keep the questions coming, thank you so much, and I'll hand it back to you, Art. Thank you.
Thanks, George, and I apologize to those attendees, and you know who I'm apologizing to based on George's pronunciations, but you'll get used to it. So, we've also got a special guest with us this evening, the training chair for District 6900, Anthony Slaughter's with us this evening, and we always do 5 good minutes with a guest on our webinars for the zone. And since this is a Rotary Club Central webinar and specific to a couple of the districts in Georgia, we thought that it might be appropriate if Anthony shared some thoughts and some information with you. Maybe he's got something to tell you about upcoming Peach State Pets. Anthony, go ahead.
Thank you, Art. Thank you. I'm glad to have y'all online today, finally. Hope y'all are, I'm very thrilled for y'all to come to Pets and everything. Y'all, I hope it is on y'all's calendar, February the 23rd and 25th. You know, that is Pets. Pets is a great adventure and a wonderful place to gather information to make your year outstanding. This year, we're doing a little something different than we have in the past. We're having a pizza party Friday night. So come Friday night, this will give you a chance to get familiar with the facility and meet new Rotarians around the state. Also, the hospitality suites will be opening up about 7:30 or 8 to serve you your favorite alcoholic beverage. Also at Pets, we're going to have vendor tables on the bottom floor, so plan ahead. If you would like to purchase theme pins, officer pins, or other Rotary goodies for your team, we have built time in the agenda for you to visit the vendors and shop and buy your team some new items. Also, the dress code kind of for Pets is mostly a Rotary, what I call Rotary casual, just comfortably for sitting. Carry a sweater or jacket if you get cold in some of the rooms. You can wear blue jeans, but sometimes the big wheels, you know, they prefer casual pants instead sometimes. But wear your Rotary pin, of course. Saturday night is basically a reception, and it's a little bit fancier. Gentlemen, you may want to bring a jacket or tie. Ladies, you may want to dress a little bit dressier than work casual. No need for sparkles or evening wear, but just something a little bit more fancier. We're going to have a reception that night for all to have you a chance to meet all the RI directors, and also Barry Rassin, our RI president, will be there. So if you are a major donor or a bequest society, wear your pins. Also, if you have polio pins or fellowship pins, or etc., please wear them. You know, Saturday night is what I call the Rotary Bling night, so wear all your Rotary Bling for Saturday. Also, some of the great speakers we're going to have. We're going to have Mark Miller from Chick-fil-A. We're going to have John Smarge. He's a former RI director, and now he's the RI communications on the communications committee. We're going to have Mary Burge. She's a past Zone 29 coordinator. And then Sunday, we have something special for you. We're going to have Barry Rassin, which will be the RI president-elect for 2018. He'll be your RI president for your year. He's going to be speaking Sunday for lunch. So one of the first things you need to do to start your year off is enter all your goals into Rotary Club Central, and Art is here to help you learn and do these things. So congratulations on being club president and leader for your club for 2018. And I look forward to seeing you Friday night. So please have a chance to get to know me and hopefully come to some of the hospitality rooms, and we can share beverages together. So turning it over back to you, Art.
Perfect, Anthony. Thanks very much. I have noticed a few folks have been arriving as we got started here, and I just want to let them know that we are recording this, so you will be able to pick up anything that you missed. The recording of this webinar will be distributed to both district trainers and both district governor-elects of those involved in this webinar. So you'll have opportunity to listen to the whole thing again, or just the parts that maybe you want to hear again, or the beginning if you missed it. So thanks, Anthony, again. That's great. We want to start this. Of course, this, as I stated, this is using Rotary Club Central effectively in preparation for your presidential year. And by the way, say hi to me too. I'm going to be up there at Peach State Pets. And as you can see, I have a hairline that's a little unmistakable. So reach out, and I'd love to meet you. But first, before we get rolling, we want to start with a question. And we're going to ask a question about y'all, and you'll be able to see how to respond to it. How much do you know about the new Rotary Club Central? That's the new Rotary Club Central. And so you should be seeing some poll questions up there right now. Go ahead and click one of those radio buttons that you think best answers that question. And we'll give you a couple seconds here to get some answers in there, and then we'll share the results. We got a pretty mixed bag. Give you another couple seconds, coming in pretty good here. Got 83% of you have answered. 88. 10 seconds for those of you that are in that remaining 12%. All right, we're going to close the poll, and I am going to share those results with you. And as you can see, it's spread out pretty good. The only one that is making me a little bit nervous there is the one about my current club president. So this is a great head start for some of you. It looks like most of you have some idea. We've got about 12%, the first I've heard of it. So we're going to get you a kickstart here, get you going, and I think this will help a great deal. I'm going to hide that poll now, and we'll get back to the webinar. So the benefits of doing Rotary Club Central. First, I just want to give you a little history. Some of you may be presidents doing another presidential term, or maybe you've switched clubs and you're doing presidential term again. But if you did, and you did it 5, 6, 7 years ago, you may remember that as a president-elect, we filled out an 8-page document with a bunch of information on it, a lot of history on it, and we literally had to go around to our clubs and ask our members, you know, how old they were, what level of giving they were when it came to, you know, the foundation, all kinds of crazy questions, 8 pages worth. And you had to reinvent the wheel every year because it was rare for a president-elect to be kind enough to save that document and hand a copy of it to their president nominee. Because they had to turn those in. Those 8-page documents had to be turned into the governor, who then had to compile all that information in order to turn it into a Rotary. So it's a planning and measuring tool. Rotary Club Central is a planning and measuring tool. We don't have to start from scratch each year. We've eliminated that 8-page. We have that information in there. So the ability to take pride in our goals, to share our goals with our clubs. It appeals to our competitiveness because you've got each of your districts is well over 60 clubs in your district. There is a competitive nature to your clubs. It builds on past progress because you can see the progress that you've had over the years. It makes for better future planning, better succession planning. And you might say, well, that's kind of the same thing. Future planning we kind of look at as a club planning tool, succession planning being the leadership aspect. And it engages our membership, and we'll talk a little bit about that as we go through the webinar. And that page isn't supposed to be there, and I apologize for that. It's emphasizing some of those same points. I thought I had deleted it. It's actually an old slide. Disregard it. So we're going to vote again. So which of the reasons do you find the most compelling that, and this won't be, I can't show all of them that I just shared with you, but I can share a number of the answers, and go ahead and once again select one of those radio buttons that you think maybe makes the most sense to you to use the tool. Awesome. Already at 50%. We do have a leader in the clubhouse too right now. All right, I'll give you about 5 more seconds as we're already at 90%. All right, we're going to close that. I'm going to share those results with you. And I think you'll see that Traction Shows Club Progress is by far the leader right there. The Transparency and the Eliminates paper, interestingly enough, got no votes. Marnie, it's going to be up to you to explain why those two things would get no votes. But anyway, I want to introduce to you, and if you don't know Marnie, you need to get to know Marnie and write this email address down. Marnie is our senior officer at Club and District Support for Zones 33 and 34. And Marnie does a great job. She is the answer queen. She is the brains behind the curtain when any of us are looking for answers when it comes to anything and dang near all things club, with the exception of foundation. So give me a second here, and Marnie, you can go ahead and talk while I try and get this swapped over to you.
Thank you, Art. That is quite the introduction that I hope I can live up to. It's great to be with all of you this evening virtually. I wish that I were there physically because I'm calling from snowy and cold Evanston, Illinois, the world headquarters for Rotary. But I'm glad to have the opportunity to talk to all of you this evening, and want to thank you for your time and being here to learn a bit more about Rotary Club Central. So, can you all see my...
Should be able to steal the screen, Marnie.
Okay, let's see here 1 second. All right, is it showing?
Yes.
Okay, great. So I'm using sort of a testing environment that we have here. Art has kindly given me permission to use his club as an example. But since we're in a testing environment, the numbers may not be accurate to what his club's actual goals and data are. So don't pay too much close attention to that. This is just as an example so that we can give you a sort of live demo of what the tool looks like. So what I'm going to show you is just sort of a walkthrough of Rotary Club Central. Once you are signed into your account on My Rotary, there are a couple of different ways to get to Rotary Club Central, and I'll show you those here. So once we're on the My Rotary website, I'm going to sign into my own account here as an example. Oh, let's see here.
Have you had your password revoked, Marnie?
No, it's because I've been checking other accounts here. It's taken a second, which usually is a good sign. So once we're on the page here and signed in, there's two sort of primary ways that I like to show to get to Rotary Club Central. One is under the Manage section. As club leaders, you may be spending some time in this club and district administration area to view reports or to check on administrative information for your club. So we've included a link here to Rotary Club Central. And then the other area where you can find a link is under the Member Center. If you're ever not sure where to find something on the Rotary website, this is kind of a good first place to check. And there are links for all of our online tools included under this Member Center area here. So once we click on one of those links, this is the page that is going to open up for your club. And we always begin on this dashboard page. And this is sort of high-level trend information about your club. So as you can see, it includes membership trends, gender trends, age trends, and then when we scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's information about project data and also annual fund contributions. The information you see right now is going to be specific to your club because our primary focus is on the individual club experience, but you can see aggregated information for your club group, so your area of clubs, your district, and your zone. So you can just easily click on one of those tabs and the data will automatically change for that level. You can also view the information at the global level. Briefly, I want to make a comment about sort of system performance. So with the previous version of Rotary Club Central, one of the biggest complaints we received was how slow the tool operated. And in order to address that issue, we had to make a couple of decisions. One of those primarily is that the information that you receive is more or less real time, but it may be slightly delayed. So we have included a note here at the top to let you know that, to say that data reported in Rotary Club Central may be slightly delayed about 24 hours. And what that means really is that if you, for example, enter a new member for your club, either directly into the My Rotary website, or if you're using a local database vendor like DACDB or Club Runner or something like that, it may take 24 hours for you to see that additional new member reflected in your club's membership figures in Rotary Club Central. So the advantage of that, again, is that the system performs a lot faster. You'll see how quickly the data changes when I'm just clicking on these tabs up at the top here. So this is the dashboard, but the heart of Rotary Club Central is really about setting club goals and tracking those achievements. So all of the goals are now located in what's called the Goal Center. So we have this menu or navigation pane on the left-hand side of Rotary Club Central. So we're going to click on Goal Center. And again, we have a note here still up at the top letting you know that the data might be slightly delayed from what you see. So club and district leaders can make updates from last year, the current year, or the incoming year. And the ability to select that year is sort of front and center at the top here. So you can use the arrows to move from one year to the next. So the important thing to note is that as president-elect, you will want to click on this right arrow to advance to the 2018-19 year, because the ability to edit goals directly corresponds to the year that you are serving as an officer. So as 2018-19 club president, you can edit 2018-19 club goals. And I want to emphasize that that access begins as soon as you are reported in your role to Rotary, as early as a year before your term as president. So right now, if you are reported in Rotary's database as the 2018-19 president of your club, you can go into Rotary Club Central and you'll already have the access to edit goals for this 2018-19 year. If you don't see this edit button when you're in Rotary Club Central and you're under the 2018-19 year, be sure to talk to your current club president or your current club secretary and ask them to report you as next year's club president. I also want to note that while you are the ones that will probably receive the most training on Rotary Club Central, I think it's also helpful to note that your club secretary, treasurer, membership chair, foundation chair, and if you have one, an executive secretary, all have the same online access that you do. So they too can assist with entering goals and tracking progress for your club. And again, that access for them will, they'll have that as soon as their position is reported to Rotary up to a year in advance. So when you come in for the first time, you'll see something similar to what you have on the screen here. You'll have various categories of goals up at the top. So we have members and engagement, Rotary Foundation giving, service, etc., or an all tab where you can just view one whole list of all of the possible goals within Rotary Club Central. And then at the top here, you see that you have this edit button. Rotary Club Central contains a lot of goals, but it was never our intention to obligate clubs to complete every goal in the tool. Instead, we wanted to present you with a menu of different options and then allow you and your clubs to choose the goals that make the most sense for your club for that particular Rotary year. So to achieve that, we've gone through a sort of process for selecting the goal and then entering what the goal is. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to click on this edit function, and we'll see that the club has already set some of the goals here, but we'll go down to one that has not yet been set. And what you'll do first is you'll check this select goal box that indicates that that is a goal that your club wants to work on. And once you select that, you have the ability to enter the goal value. If you're not certain about what the particular goal is, or if you want some history as it relates to your club, you can click on the link here, Show Goal Details and History, to expand that field and show a bit more information. It includes a definition of the goal. So here we have, it says how many members will attend your district conference. And then we can see history of that goal and the achievement if it's been reported. So you can use this as sort of reference data for what you want to set the goal as for the coming year. So for this particular club, the goal has been anywhere from 3 to 9. Since last year it was 9, we're going to step it up 1, and we'll say that this next year it's going to be 10. So once you enter the goal, you simply click Save. And now it's going to take you back to that save view. You get a little notification there letting you know it was saved, and it will become one of the goals that appears on the front page here. What that means is that if any other member in your club comes into Rotary Club Central and wants to view the goals for their club, they'll now see the goal that we just set listed there. One particular section of goals that I want to highlight is the Rotary Citation, formerly known as the Presidential Citation. I know we tend to get a lot of questions about where those goals are listed, and I'm sure that you will spend some time at PETS reviewing what the Rotary Citation will be for the 2018-19 year. Some of the activities within the citation are sort of one-time special goals that are decided by the RI president. So any of those goals are going to be listed under this Rotary Citation section. Now, we don't yet have them input for the 2018-19 year. That will be available in the coming months, but just so that you know, it's available here as a reference. These goals, again, are located under this tab here. There are other activities in the citation that are goals that live within Rotary Club Central every year. So those would just be under their respective categories. An example of that could be sort of the youth exchange goals. So if we go under young leaders, you'll see that the goals are listed there as they're always listed there. And again, we have this all tab. So if you prefer to just review all of the goals within Rotary Club Central, rather than sort of going through these separate categories, you have the option to do that. And it makes it easy to update all the goals and achievements that your club has set for any particular year. One great feature in this tool that we have now as well is the ability to print and sort of improved print functionality. So when you're in this viewing mode of the goals and you click on the print button, you'll get a print ready screen that shows all of the goals you've set for the year. So any club member can go into Rotary Club Central and view the goals, but if you have somebody in your club who wants to see them and maybe they're not as comfortable with technology or familiar with Rotary's website, you can easily save this information as a PDF and send it to them or print it out. Another nice feature up at the top here is a sort of record of achievement. Right now it says 0 because we haven't started the 2018-19 year yet, but it's just sort of a quick view of the progress for the goal. If we move back to the current year, you can see this club has achieved 2 of 16 of the goals that have been set, and you see this progress bar along the bottom there. So that's it for setting sort of general goals for your club. In the previous version of the tool, we had a number of projects that clubs could add into the system, and you would add all the detail related to your project. And then there's also a goal for the total number of projects that your club wanted to complete. We decided in receiving feedback from clubs and Rotarians around the world that it was best to separate out service activities from these other sort of number related goals. So we now have this service activities section on the left-hand menu, and we'll take a quick look at what that looks like here. So if your club wants to add specific details about a service project, you have a couple different options on this landing page. I am under the current year, so I'm going to advance once more to the 2018-19 year to show how to actually add a project. And when we're on this landing page, you'll see that you not only have the option to add projects, but you can view information about completed projects or current projects that are going on within the club. And then at the very bottom here, you have a summary of the data that has been input for all of the various service activities. So we have the number of projects, the total volunteer hours, cash contributions, and then in-kind contributions as well. So let's walk through how to add a new project. Just click on this button here. And you are required to put a project title. So I'm just going to put Great Rotary Club Project. If you'd like, you can add a summary of that project. I'll hold off on that for now. You'll also be required to add a start date. So I'm just going to say the 3rd of July. And then you can add an end date as well. We'll just say the 4th of July. And then you have options to add various metrics about the project. This is not required, but can be helpful in the planning of the activity. So you can input the number of volunteers, the number of volunteer hours, cash contributions, and then in-kind contributions. And it's both projected, and then the idea is that once you complete the service activity, you come back in and you add the achievements there. You can also select a particular category. You can say that this is related to community service. And if you have a partner, such as another Rotary Club, your Rotaract Club, Interact Club, etc., you can add that as well. Once you've entered those details, you would scroll back up to the top and just click the Save button. And then it will let you know that that great Rotary Club project has been saved. So that's how you would walk through adding a new service project. Another point of feedback that we heard from Rotarians around the world is that some clubs will have a repeated project, a project that they do every year. And so it's helpful to be able to sort of pre-populate certain data about that repeat project. So say your club has a pancake breakfast every year and the proceeds from that breakfast go to support the Rotary Foundation. If you are going to repeat that project, you would click on that button there and search for that project. In this case, I'm going to repeat one from the club. Let's say the food distribution. Click on Copy Project. The title is going to be pre-populated. What we would recommend is adding on an additional clarifier. So that could be 2018, it could be spring, something to define the, distinguish it from the previous project that you've done. You can update the project summary if you need to. You are required to update the start date. So again, we'll say July 3rd. And then the nice thing here is that it's going to pre-populate the previous projected and previous actual data if that has been included. So I can see here that the last time that our club did this project, we had 60 volunteers, 180 volunteer hours. And so that can help inform the projected resources that I include for this year. Okay, so that's an easy way to add a project that your club maybe does once a quarter or once a year and sort of pre-populate data that's been previously used.
Marnie, this is Art.
Hi, Art.
Two things. We're getting some great questions in, and it might be a good opportunity on some of them, but also on the projected versus the achieved. Since we neglected to put it in there what we were projecting, but the project has already happened, can we get by with just populating the achieved if it's post-project?
So the club could go back in, depending if it was entered either this year or last year, the club officers for that respective year could still go back in and update that. Neither the projected nor the actual data is required in order to add the project. So the club can add in whatever information they feel is relevant based on what they have available. But if your club wanted to go back in and update that data for the 2017-18 year or 16-17 year, the officers for those respective years could still do that.
Perfect. Does it make sense that we field a couple of the RCC questions that are, I mean, we're getting a lot of questions. Great. George, you want to throw some out?
Yeah, I'd certainly like to do that because I think that it's a good time to do. Could you enlighten Leyland as to what the difference is between Rotary Club Central and the District and Club database, but also how they interact?
Sure. So that's a really great question and one that is commonly presented. So first, I want to make a distinction between the My Rotary website overall, which is how we sort of got to Rotary Club Central. So this is the My Rotary website. This is created by Rotary International. Rotary Club Central is a tool within the website, and it's specifically related to club goals. So you may sometimes hear people talking about Rotary Club Central as the place to update your club's membership or your club's officers, and that is not correct. It would be the Rotary website for entering any sort of club data like new members, terminated members, officers. Rotary Club Central is specifically for club goals. So with Rotary Club Central, there is no integration with a local district database such as DACDB or Club Runner. There is integration with DACDB and Club Runner with the My Rotary website if your club has set that up. So for what we're talking about today with Rotary Club Central specifically and goals, this is the only place where you can go to enter your club's goals. It won't integrate with the district and club database.
And if I can just add to that, George, just real quickly, so that everybody understands, because I'm sure I can hear a gasp or two of folks that are thinking, dang it. But what you need to understand is that we have 2 districts on the call tonight, and you both do not use DACDB. So, and there are at least, I believe there are 5 additional, not including customized, personal district customized websites like DACDB in North America alone. So it's a challenge. I mean, we have a website, Rotary.org, and then there are other folks out there that do something and some things of the same things, and they're great tools, and they offer you different data sets, but it's just not the same as what we're talking about this evening.
Correct. Yeah, but great question. That is definitely something that commonly comes up, and it's a good thing to clarify.
Yep.
One of the fundamentals has been asked by Leyland here. How do you get your screen name and password to enter Rotary Club Central money?
Sure. So that would be to get into the Rotary website. If you haven't yet created an account, when you first arrive at my.rotary.org, you'll see an option here to register for an account. It'll ask you to enter your first name, last name, and your email. What happens from there is you receive an email with a link to set your password and complete that registration process. If you think you've already created an account before, you can click on this Sign Into My Rotary button. There is an option for Forgot Password, something I myself have to use sometimes with all of these websites and accounts. It's easy to forget your password. If anyone is having difficulties with signing into their account, you can always feel free to contact me directly, and I'm happy to help troubleshoot what that issue might be.
Marnie, an interesting point popped up there when you did the create an account, register for an account. There is a tab or the question, are you 18 years or older? Why would that be there?
So the access that somebody has on the system it kind of varies depending on what your role is, and there are certain exclusions for minors. So,
but that would be because we would allow our interactors and or our Rotaractors to get an account, correct?
Rotaractors, yes. I would have to double check on Interact. I don't work as closely with those programs, so I'm not sure how that access works.
Okay, and the reason that is, everybody, that I believe that is on the Rotaractors is because they are not part of a Rotary club necessarily, so they can get access.
They can definitely create an account though, yeah. And they have, because they can use Showcase and some of our other online tools, but it's just the system is automatically going to recognize somebody's role within our database, and we don't even collect Interact names, so they wouldn't, match up with our system there.
So it's probably Rotaract only, everybody, but that is, I believe that's the reason that there is that, and obviously people that are just fishing, but they wouldn't be recognized in our database at all. So, okay, George, you got another one?
Okay. Yeah, I've got quite a few actually, and I don't know when you'll want to go back to Marnie's presentation, but there's a more of a general question here, Marnie. Who benefits from this? This is a great way to help guide the club through the year, but does the district zone and RI also use the data? And if so, how? That's from
great question. Yeah, so and I can even throw it back to you or to Art to speak more about the district and the zone level. But as we've seen, there are ways to see aggregated data for those various levels. a district leader, when they're in this goal center section, they can view all of the goals for the clubs in their particular district, and a zone leader could view for all of the clubs in their zone. So it is used as a planning tool and an informational tool for leaders at every level of the organization. This current year, an example of Rotary International using the data is there is a goal related to service and the number of service hours and the total number of volunteers. This particular club may not have said it. President Ian has wanted to collect that data as a way to have a better idea of the impact that clubs are making around the world. So it does help us, and obviously it's only as helpful as it is used. So if there isn't data in there, then we have no data to report on or to analyze. But really, Rotary Club Central was created for clubs specifically as a way to help them plan, to track their achievements, to see where the club has been and where it's going. So really, it's hopefully a tool that's useful for clubs. And one of the things I was going to mention at the end of the presentation, but I'll just mention it now, is that with this product, we are looking to make sort of ongoing improvements. So if there's something that you see that could be improved within this tool, a new feature you would like to see, or an enhancement in some way, we want to make sure that the tool is working for you, for clubs and club leaders especially. So feel free to share that feedback when you have it. I don't know if Art or George want to add anything about how districts and zones use the information.
So,
well, I can certainly say that I use it all the time as an assistant Rotary coordinator. I use the data that I'm looking at a lot. How about you, Art?
Yep, that and one district leader that you didn't mention, Marnie, was the assistant governor as well. And the assistant governors, you look at the clubs that are in their area, and they look at in order to assist their clubs in their achievements. And of course, maybe to toot their horn if the club is a little reluctant to toot their own as they communicate with district leadership. But yes, it is used all the way up, I assume all the way up the chain, in order to, at a glance, get an idea of what's going on.
Yeah, I would say not in a big brother sense. I mean, nobody in Rotary International is going to come knocking down your door if you're not using it. Or like I said, we don't have the expectation that you set every single goal that's in Rotary Club Central. Again, it's supposed to be useful for you and to be a planning tool to help you sort of guide your club to where you want to go.
Could I ask one more, if you'll allow? Could you give us some guidance? And if you're about to cover it, then obviously we'll understand that we'll just carry on. But the question from Leyland is, who inputs the data for each club? Who
that's
can
a great
and
question.
does?
Yeah, so at the club level, I'm going to name off the positions that we collect in our database, and all of these positions have the same exact access. So it's the president, the secretary, the treasurer, the foundation chair, the membership chair, and then if your club has one, an executive secretary. So any of those individuals can set goals corresponding to their year as a leader. So again, 2018-19, president, secretary, et cetera, can set 2018-19 goals. That's for the club level. District leaders technically have access to set goals as well on behalf of clubs. And when I say district leaders, it would include the governor, various committee chair positions that we collect, and then also the assistant governors. And with the assistant governors, the access is limited to just the clubs within their area or their club group. That access has not been granted with the intention to have district leaders setting goals for clubs. Really, ideally, the clubs themselves are setting the goals, but if there's a club that's struggling, maybe their internet connection isn't great, maybe they're just not as technologically savvy, and they want some help, that access has been granted to the district level to be able to assist. A club will receive a notification if somebody else at the district level sets a goal on their behalf. So we do want that transparency to be there.
Thanks. I don't know, Marnie, could you tell us how much of the presentation is still to go and whether we should come back to questions, or would
Sure,
you
yeah,
like
I
to?
just had a couple more things that I wanted to show, and so maybe I'll go ahead and do that, and then we can
Yeah,
answer a couple more questions that come up. Does that work? Okay,
yeah, great.
great. So the other sections that I wanted to highlight here is the global view. And this is more if you're interested in aggregated data. So if you want to see at the global level how many clubs have set a club membership goal so far for the 2018-19 year, what the total achievement of that goal is for any of these goals listed here, you can do that. So that would be for any of the different goal categories and then at these various levels. So the global level, the zone, for your district in particular. So you can kind of compare which goals clubs are actually setting, what the achievement is for your district, and follow along with that if you're interested in that. You can also look at that information for your particular area or club group. There is also a resources section. This is going to be just sort of a long list of various resources. In the general resources area, we have a couple step-by-step visual guides. So in case you forget some of the information shared in this demonstration this evening, we have step-by-step guides with screenshots that walk through how to set a goal, how to report progress, service activities, and view information. So I would encourage all of you to read that, to review those, and then maybe also to share it with your incoming club leadership so that if you want to ask your secretary, your treasurer, membership chair for help with setting the goals, then they know how to do that. There's also resources related to membership, to young leaders, basically to all of the various categories for which you can set a goal. We want to help you with resources to reach those goals. And then there's also this report section. Again, it's kind of broken out in a similar way where there's reports related to members and engagement, to foundation giving, or to service. One interesting feature I want to share with you, and then we're almost done here, is that this is mobile friendly. So if you are accessing Rotary Club Central on a mobile device or on a tablet, it's pretty easy to use, and I will show you quickly if I can here what that view looks like. So just take 1 second here. Don't pay attention to what you see on the side here. That's all really technical stuff. But in the middle here, you can see what the view would look like if you are working off of a tablet or off of your phone. You can easily scroll down the screen, navigate through the different sections, edit goals, enter that information, and sort of a nice display here. So that is most of what I wanted to show you. One last key thing is there is a link back to the My Rotary website here. There's also a contact us button, but you all now have the inside scoop and you have my email address. So if you have questions that are specific to Rotary Club Central, I'm always happy to be your first line of contact for those and to help in any way that I can. So George, do we have other questions that have come in? I'm happy to take some time to answer those, whether they be for me or for somebody else on the webinar here.
Okay, I've got a few questions here. Can you add to goals by category is what Margaret would like to know. And I'll merge that with William's question. Do you have to input all goals or can we leave some blank?
Sure. So you can't add in your own goals. So you can't make up a new goal that's not already there. If there is a goal that you think would be really helpful to have, we're happy to take that feedback and take that into consideration. With regard to the goals that are listed, you do not have to set all of them. I would say to work with your district leadership to see if there's any in particular that they are interested in knowing. And what I would also say is that it's okay to set a goal as 0. So for example, if you are looking at these goals here, and let's see, let's find one we haven't set. Let's say district training participation. Maybe you decide that for this incoming year, it just doesn't make sense exactly for your club committee chairs to attend the district assembly. I would hope that that's not the case, but just as an example here, you can set your goal. Where did it go here? Sorry, I'm not trying to scroll and make you dizzy here. Just disappeared on me for a second.
You see, Marnie, these are also important.
So I expanded it. It's because I expanded it. So you can set a goal as 0. That is perfectly acceptable. And that way, at least, you know that you've reviewed that goal. Your district knows that you've reviewed that goal, but you're just saying that it's not something you're focusing on this year. So that's perfectly acceptable to do.
And if I can make one more comment on this, so we're kind of focusing, and some of the questions you are asking are focusing on you when we do this. I would make the suggestion to you that you have a club assembly in the not too distant future, and make this the focus of the meeting, and bring it up on a big screen within the meeting for your year. And of course, you got to coordinate this with your current club president, right? But your club president probably wants you to be setting goals for next year, and actually run these through and bounce these things off of your club. You know, what do you guys think we can do when it comes to membership, when it comes to service, when it comes to do we want to start a new Interact club, et cetera, et cetera. All of these things are items that your club, it's probably healthier, right, to create these goals in a shared environment as opposed to you sitting at home and going, yep, we're going to increase membership by 20%. And the club doesn't know it, and you've got no buy-in from the club. That's a challenge, right? So do it at a club assembly. It actually makes for a pretty good meeting. You might be going, oh, we'd hate that. Or you might be asking me, what's a club assembly? And that's a different conversation we'll have to have in the very near future. But this is something that you can use for a meeting.
Thanks, Art. Julie would like to know, Marnie, is there an easy way to add a new recurring project during the same Rotary year?
Yes, so the example that I gave under these service activities, when it says past project, it's any project that you have already done. So it doesn't necessarily have to be last year. If you did a project earlier in this year, you can still click on this repeat a past service project and search for that project and then populate the data. So you could, again, if you do a project quarterly, we would recommend sort of changing the name of that project. So Walmart food pickup first quarter 2017, Walmart food pickup second quarter 2017, something like that to distinguish between those various times that you're completing the project. But you can choose from any past project, not just past Rotary years.
Wonderful. And I have a question from Rebecca. Is it better to enter service projects on Rotary Showcase and then import them to Rotary Club Central?
That's a good question. So there is the option to do that. Technically, Rotary Club Central is more intended to be a planning tool, so the front end of a project, and then Showcase would traditionally be the back end. So once that project is completed, you're sort of sharing it with the Rotary world and beyond. So the ideal sort of process for that would be to have it in Rotary Club Central first, and then you can push it out to Showcase to pre-populate some of that data that crosses over both. But if you do have projects that are already in Showcase for whatever reason, you can import them.
Okay, that's absolutely wonderful. And that, apart from a pat on the back from Zane, he really enjoyed your walkthrough, which he thought was great. And a request from Andre to have the email addresses shown again. Art, I don't know if you can do that, but or whether we should get in touch with.
If Marnie gives me the screen back, I can do that.
Okay.
I don't think you have the entirety of the deck, do you, Marnie?
I don't know, but I'm throwing it back to you right now.
And thank you all for your great questions. That does conclude the questions, Marnie. We can relax
Marnie's,
now.
I assume you can see Marnie's face there and her email address and phone number. And by the way, I'll be happy to share this deck with your trainers and DGEs as well. And then you'll have this information. Let me go backwards here and I'll get you some more. There's Anthony's. I'm hoping you got it. George's isn't there, nor is mine. But we'll make sure that your DGEs and trainers know you're interested in that contact information, and we'll get it to you. We always intend on keeping these to a limit of an hour, and we're at 55 minutes right now. So if you're interested, feel free to throw another question at George. But while we're waiting on that for a few seconds, I just want to thank you all for taking an hour out of a day that you can't get back, right? And we very much appreciate that. And I and Anthony and your governor-elects and all your district leadership, as well as Ann in 6920, your trainers, we all look forward to seeing you at Peach State on February 23rd to 25th. Make sure that you do come up and get an opportunity to say, hi, I was on your webinar and it was terrible, or it was good, or you have no opinion, or whatever you want to share. George, did we get any other questions?
Just a comment from Rick that it was very, very helpful, and I appreciate that. And Stephen Bailey has just joined us by the looks of it. So, Steve, you'll be able to watch the
recorded version. George, did we lose you?
Did you lose me?
Yeah. But
okay.
I filled in for you that he'll be able to watch the recorded version.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and thank you from Anne-Marie, and thanks also from Margaret. So quite a few thanks coming in. Great job, everybody. I hope it was very, very useful for those who attended.
Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you at Peach State. Have a great evening. Thank you, Marnie. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, George.
Thank you.